Welcome to another lesson, and in this video, we'll see an additional example of how the Stripe Marketplace Express plugin is used in a real app. So we'll see how the template works and how its workflows are set up. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So I'll now be demonstrating the Ridley template, which is basically a template that uses the Stripe Marketplace Express plugin. I'll show you how this template works from the perspective of the driver as well as the rider. But let me quickly show you how you can find this template. So you can go over to the Zeroqode website, and then under Build, you can go to Templates, and then you can scroll down to click it here, or you can also type in the template name within the search box, and it'll show up here. And then once you click on it, you'll be able to go to the web demo, which is this page here. So let's now log in as a driver and see how the driver dashboard looks. So we'll sign up, and then we'll go to the demo driver account, which is this one here. So this is currently the driver's dashboard, and now we are within the profile menu, but the driver can also see additional menu tabs, such as the car information, the driver history, as well as payments. So do take note that this is currently the driver's seller ID, and you'll see why we're pointing this out later in the video. So let's now log in as a rider and see how the rider dashboard looks like. So we'll click on the sign up button, but do take note that it's best to try out this template while using different windows. So in fact, I'm currently within a different browser right now, so I'll click to log in. And this is how the rider dashboard looks like. So the rider can initiate a trip from this menu tab. And the rider can also see the profile. The rider can also access the ride history. The rider can also add payment methods. And the rider can also add favorite addresses. So let's currently initiate a new trip for the rider. So after entering the pickup point as well as the destination, we see different pieces of information, such as the distance, the duration, as well as the cost. So once we're happy with everything, we can click on Start Now. And then you can see that the ride has been initiated. So now we jumped into the driver dashboard, and we can see that a new ride has been found. So we can click on a pickup time, and then we can accept the ride. Then next we can click on I'm here. Afterwards, we can click on the start button to start the ride. Then lastly, we can finish the ride. After that, we see a pop-up that notifies us that we have arrived at our destination and the cost is this much. So let's now hop into the rider dashboard. And as you can see, we're also given a notification that the ride has finished. We're also given the opportunity to rate our ride. And then we can also add feedback. So that's the process of how a rider and a driver can use the dashboard in order to start and finish a trip. So now we're going to be looking at the different workflows that are used within the Ridley template. To start off, we'll see how a rider adds a payment method within the rider dashboard. So in order to do that, a rider would need to click on the Payments menu item. And then here we can select the option to add a new card. And now we are redirected to a Stripe hosted page that allows us to enter some card details. And after the card information has been inserted, we can click on Save Card. And then we can click to complete authentication. And we've now been redirected back to the rider dashboard, and you can see that our new card has been added. So let's now check the workflows to see how this is all set up. So when a person clicks here to add a new card, we are creating a session as a first step. And within this session, you can see that the mode is currently set to setup since we are setting up the payment method of the rider. And then here we have the success URL as well as the cancel URL. We also have the current user's email address inserted here. And then we have the setup future usage as of session. Then on the next step, we are making changes to the current user. So we are assigning the session ID and the setup intent ID all from the result of step 1. And then within the next step, we are using the checkout action, and this is connected to the SCA element which has been placed on the page. And then we are using the result of step 1 as the session ID. Then as the fourth step, we are assigning the default payment source of the current user. So these are basically all the actions that are involved when a rider adds a payment method. Now let's talk about the driver dashboard. So you may be wondering how a driver is paid when using the app. So the most important thing is for them to have a Stripe account, and specifically for them to have a Stripe seller account. And that's created when a driver fills in this form and then clicks on the button that says create account. So when this button is clicked, you can see that we are first creating a bank account token, and this action is linked to a token element which has been placed on the page, and we renamed it as Stripe Marketplace Token Create. And within some of these fields, we are basically using the data that the seller has inserted within the form. But that's not all. You'll notice that currently we've only just created the bank account token. But what about the actual seller account? So we use an additional event for that, which is this one, and it's triggered when the bank account token has been created. So within the first action, we are uploading a file that the driver has uploaded, and it's basically the front side of the license. And then within the second step, we are doing the same thing, but this time it's the back side of the license. And here's the most important step. So here we are actually creating the real seller account. And then within this field, we are attaching the bank account token that was created with the first event that we examined. And then within the rest of the field, we are basically assigning information of the user. And we remember that there are 3 different types of seller accounts. There's a standard account, there's an express account, and there's a custom seller account. So currently we are creating the custom seller account, and that's because we are using a completely white labeled solution. So here the driver will not be redirected to a Stripe hosted page, but rather the driver will see a dashboard that has been created with Bubble. And an additional thing to know is that when a user registers to become a driver and there's an error with the first submission, an update token will be triggered and Stripe will send the required fields to our Bubble app. When that happens, a form for uploading the files or some other necessary information will pop up. And when you submit the request the second time, another token will be created in the driver's dashboard with the new information. And another benefit of this plugin is that most of the actions that come along with it have this link that says show documentation. And when you click on it, it will basically explain what the purpose of the field is for. So most fields will have this link which you can click in order to see more information about it. And this way it's easier for you to understand what each field is for. The next thing that we now want to consider is how a driver is actually paid. So basically we want to see how split payments work when a rider pays for a trip. So this is basically how split payments work within the Ridely template. So when a rider clicks on finish a ride, this event gets triggered. And within the first step, we are cloning the customer's payment method. And this information will be used within the second step. So within the second step, you can see that we're using an action that creates a payment intent. And within the first field, we are assigning the driver's Stripe ID. So as noted before, we saw within the driver dashboard that there is a Stripe ID. And that is used especially when we're trying to execute split payments. And then within the amount field, this is basically the amount that will be charged from the customer. And here we are setting the currency, and within the next field, we are setting the ID of the payment method. And this information is taken from step 1. And then most importantly, within this field, we are defining the application fee. So this is basically the fee that will be applied to the payment and will be transferred to the platform owner. And that's how split payments take place. So by examining this Ridely template, I hope that you have an improved understanding of how to set up workflows, events, and actions of the Stripe Marketplace Express plugin. But as we have seen so far, the Stripe Marketplace Express plugin makes it relatively easy to set up an application that has complex payment solutions.